Hello guys and welcome back to the power rankings of the DCL. It's been a long time and I'm doing the power rankings of week 5 and 6 today in one. This was because I was kind of busy with some real life stuff combined with the other leagues that kind of started up and took quite a lot of time from me. I wasn't able to do the power ranks for week 5, and this week I also didn't have that much time, but for me it was like I committed myself to being analyst for this league, so I want to continue with it and I want to bring out my power rankings every week as much as I can. So now we're week 5 and 6 are already done, and I will be going over my rankings for now. I have to say, like always, this rankings is totally opinionated. It's my opinion, and if you don't agree with me, feel free to discuss with me down in the comment sections. So first off, let's just hop into number 16. But first, I have to say there are two new coaches. I think the Tackle Typhlosions have a replacement that is now called the Philadelphia Smurgles, and the Miami Infinims also had to leave, so they are replaced by the Miami Heat more. And yeah, so there were a bit more matches done than that every coach played 2 matches, but I will be going over the matches alongside with discussing the coaches in more detail. So on to our number 16. Number 16 we have the Cincinnati Beedrills. They climbed up last time one space, but because the Typhlosions had so many forfeits, but with the new guy of the Typhlosions, the Beedrills dropped back again to place 16, and yeah, week 5 he lost 5-0 to the Buffalo Bills, coached by Will, and week 6 he got his first victories, now 1-5 with a -16 difference, but this was a forfeit win against the Vilnius Aerial Aces. So about this week 5 match against Maccabi, what I can say about that match is yeah, he does like what he always does. He decides to set up with his Megalate as soon as possible. This time it was on the Milotic, and it could have worked because at +2, due to the prior damage he done with Psycut, at +2 he might have been able with a roll to KO the Milotic, but he risked the Skull Burn and Milotic got the Skull Burn. So he decides, okay, let me just SD up again then, because yeah, Skull isn't doing that much, but Milotic reveals the haze, and yeah, then the Mega Galate goes down to the Milotic quite easily. Then he makes a great play. He with his Scizor, he Volt Switch out of Magnezone on the incoming Latios into Scizor, and Scizor pursuit traps and kills the Latios, which was a nice play. But then everything starts to crumble because Zoroark, disguised as Talonflame, comes in. Maccabi Will expects the Rotom Heat to come in, so he sets up a Sword Stance, and Rotom Heat comes in and he clean KOs it with a knockoff. Then Exploit and Scizor dies to Sucker Punch, Regice dies to a knockoff, and Scolipede dies to Sucker Punch. So what was looking to be kind of a bit of an even match turned out to be a clean sweep by the Zoroark. So yeah, this was really unfortunate for the Beedrills. He should maybe have prepped a bit better for Zoroark because he didn't have much to take it on. But yeah, this Sky Stroke is always really scary. You really have to scout for that one and like get up your hazard as soon as possible so you can distinguish if it's a Zoroark or not. So that's all I have to say about the Beedrills. That's not too much. Other coach I will be going over more as if they have played more matches. So on to number 15 then. At number 15 we have the Minnesota Nidokings. Again, they lost one space due to the Typhlosion now being replaced by other coach. He's 1-5, -17 differential. Yeah, his only win was against the Vilnius Aerial Aces. He lost his last 2 weeks. He also lost to the Buffalo Bills in a 4-0 fashion and to the Bayern Munchlax in a 5-0 fashion. So those matches against the Buffalo Bills, yeah, the Nidokings lose their Slowbro quite early because they take an Ice Beam with Nidoqueen. Then he decides to stay in. Nidoqueen looks to be a life parent, and Thunderbolt straight KOs the Slowbro, which is unfortunate. But then later on, Ampharos is able to set up an Agility on Fortress, and this could potentially be a bit scary, but he forgot to Mega Evolve as the Fortress exploded, so he got a lot of damage on him. If he had Mega, it would be a bit less because the extra bulk Mega Ampharos gets. And then he was now revenged by Mega Gardevoir, but his idea was if the fortress didn't explode, to set up an electric terrain, so he would have been able to one-shot Ludwig and Mega Gardevoir, which was really cool, I must say, because electric terrain does boost your electric type moves, so it was a really cool idea. Will was not prepared for electric terrain, nobody can prepare for that, but he had Wakan Berry on Milotic, so it wouldn't have worked as he would have, unfortunately. Then later on, Miss Mages reveals to be quite an unique set and also really interesting. It has Endure, Custard Berry, the Destiny Bond, but Will is able to really play around it quite nicely. And he also has to sack off his Donphan in the process, the Nidoking, so he in the end is able to keep mirror coding with his Milotic and kind of win the war of the Destiny Bonds. He stalls them out and then he kills the Miss Mages off due to the mirror code. And then Nidoqueen in the end is able to 1v1 the Togetic and the Hitmontop. So that means a 4-0 for the Bills. So Nidokings had definitely some interesting sets and showed their potential, but they were just short of the Buffalo Bills, which are quite a big threat in this league. And then against the Bayern Munchlax, that game was a bit different. First of all, this was on the Nidoking's part. He brought a defensive Tangrowth, which did its job. It checked Mega Lopunny and some other things, but he didn't run Sleep Powder on it, and that was something I found really unfortunate, because the things that came in on Tangrowth now, if you would have been able to put them to sleep, it would have really helped them. Also later on, Heatran misses a big Magma Stone versus Flygon, so that's really unfortunate. He then goes out into Hydreigon expecting EQ, but Flygon just clicks U-turn as all the Flygons does. So I get that he predicts EQ, and that was like the obvious play, but always consider U-turn as a possibility and try to make more of a middle ground, I think then. Heatran then misses a Magma Storm on Crest. It would have done some damage, but Crest is setting up now. It's at +2/+2, but Heatran looks to be more of a Spadef Heatran, takes 2 HP grounds and is able to Toxic Cresselia, so it puts it on a timer. Then Hydreigon can come in, it clicks Dark Pulse, it flinches the Cresselia, and then the next Dark Pulse is able to KO it. So that's really fortunate for him, so he didn't really need the Toxic due to the flinch. But the problem now is he had to sack Heatran off to the Cresselia, which means Sylveon tears now holes to his team. It can like 2-hit KO everything. But the main problem is that one of the first things he sacks is the Tangrowth, which means he now loses his Mega Lopunny answer. So then later on, Donphan revealed to be a custom variant, and Mega Lugia, the coach of the Bayern Munchlax, really played around it quite nicely, and he didn't sack his Sylveon, but he went he switched out. But I think Nidokings, coached by Protako, I think he forgot he had Custard Berry because he went for Ice Shot, and due to the Custard Berry he had the highest priority if there was not a priority move used, and Sylveon can't use that, so it was like he had a free EQ opportunity, so that was a bit unfortunate to see that Custard Berry kind of go to waste. Then Miss Mage is able to trick a Choice Scarf into Vaporeon, which is nice, it cripples it, and Hydreigon now sets up substitutes on it, but at the end Flygon is just able to clean up the game with a 3-turn outrage. It brought Galvantula down to its sash, but and it went for HP Ice, but Flygon had some bulk, so it took the HP Ice, and that cleaned up the game in a 5-0 fashion for the Bayern Munchlax. But that was a really clean game by the Bayern Munchlax, I have to say. And the Minnesota Nidokings, he didn't play that bad. The Munchlax kinda outclassed him. I would have loved to see the Sleep Powder on Tangrowth, and also the Custard Berry, he should have just went for an EQ in my opinion. So, on to our number 14, sorry, my mistake. At number 14 with Area Golas Pangoros, goes by Andreas. He's now 2-4 with a -10 differential. And his last 2 weeks he lost in a 4-0 fashion to the Loveburrow Lapras, and in a 4-0 fashion to the Houndoom Hercules. against the Houndum Hercules, the Pangoros made a nice double, expecting Wobbuffet to come in and let in the Crook on the Wobbuffet, but Wobbuffet was still bulky enough to take a knockoff from the Crocodile and counters it, and the Crocodile dies. So it was a nice play, but it was unfortunate that he wasn't able to KO the Wobbuffet in one hit. And then this really becomes a kind of stall war, because the Hercules just brought so much bulk. The Pangoros with its offense, it just wasn't able to handle to break one of the walls. If you break one, most time it's if you break one wall, you break everything. But the Hercules had kept him on quite healthy, and he was able to kind of outstall the Pangoros. And at like turn 48, so that's quite high in, he leaves Skarmory in on Latios. Latios reveals to be T-Bolt, and his Skarmory from the Pangoros dies, and from here out the ball gets rolling. Gudok gets Toxic by Blissey, Blissey outstalls it. Then Mega Venusaur is able to, with the earlier Toxic on Pangoro and the leech seed damage it does to it, 1v1 the Pangoro. The Maniton then still, every time it clicked Flablets, it took Recall plus Rocky Helmet from Alomola, which countered it. And then in the end, the Hercules thought, okay, let me just finish this game up for Corona. So he went out into for Corona and he kills the Gardevoir with Bug Buzz, but he dies itself because the Gardevoir was Scarf Destiny Bond. So that ended in a 4-0 fashion. It was just the Pangoros weren't able to handle the bulk on the Hercules, and the Hercules kind of didn't expect this more offensive build. He also expected more of a Mega Slowbro Chansey to come. That's why he had the Wobbuffet, that's why he went for a bit more bulky team. But in the end, it was still able to work out for him. That was really nice and a bit unfortunate for the Pangoros. And then his other match was against the Lovepower Lapras, and in that match, I'm looking if I have seen that match. Yeah, I have seen this match. In that match, the Lapras made a great lead because he expected like the Domaniton to lead, or something he could handle with his Dugtrio. The Domaniton this time around wasn't Scarf for once, so the Dugtrio traps it turn 1, kills it with an Earthquake. Pangoro comes in, brings the Dugtrio down to its sash. The Dugtrio just sets up rocks, but then the Dugtrio reveals reversal, so it also took down Pangoro. So now we are 3 turns in and the Dugtrio is down, but it took down 2 months with it and it set up rocks, so it's done a great job for him, and the Pangoros are really in the back. Then the Lapras has revealed to have Toxic on the Machamp, which is really nice, putting the Mega Slowbro on a timer. Unfortunately, later on Chansey comes in, it's in on a Mega Scizor, and it just Seismic tosses. And I really hope to that he revealed Heal Bell here, because if he wanted to have a chance to win this game, he kind of needed his Mega Slowbro as healthy as possible, not toxic, and able to kind of Calm Mind Sweep, try to get that opportunity. Yeah, Chansey then dies to a knockoff into Superpower from the Mega Scizor. Gudra comes in. Yeah, and it expects Mega Scizor to switch out. Mega Scizor just goes for knockoff, and Gudra drops the Draco. So that's unfortunate, but it still is able to live a Superpower after due to the earlier Superpower, but it misses its Fire Blast, so it has to go out into Mega Slowbro. Then he makes the safe play, just he scalds as Kion Black comes in, he gets no burn, and Fusion Bolt kills the Mega Slowbro, and Kion Black is able to clean up the game, which ended in a 4-0 from the Lapras. And I think this game was kind of decided after the first 3 turns. The Dugtrio set worked out beautifully from the Lapras and really put the Pangoros on its back foot. So on to our number 13 then. At number 13 we have the Vilnius Aerial Aces, coached by Freeze-Dry Jazz. He's also 1-5. He has lost his week 5 match a bit closer, went 2-0 to the Houndum Hercules, and his week 6 match he had a forfeit loss against the Beedrills. I put him at number 13 above the rest because week 1 he did beat, it was an auto coach, but the team did beat the Alemania Archon, and also in week 5 his losses, just even with minus 13, his losses have been a bit closer than the other guys. Yeah, the match he played was against the Houndum Hercules, and I will go over. Yeah, I have that match here. So the double-8 hard walls the Metagross, but Metagross decided to stay in from the aerial aces. I don't know if he faced a pursuit or something, but yeah, this was a bit weird. I thought, why don't you switch in something that can actually take on the double-8? Now you can, you kind of are letting it set up, and that's not really that well. Then the Hercules had a choice Bennett Granbull, and Thunderous Eye was in, and he just Thunderous Eye just went for taunt. He comes in, Granbull misses its first player off. Then Thunderous Eye just goes for taunt, expecting some status move, or, I don't know. And Granbull misses a player off again. Both player offs. Once choice Bennett player off would have been enough to O-code the Thunderous Eye, so this is really unfortunate. The Blaziken then revealed bulk up on the Mega Venusaur, which was really cool, but he only had Flare Blitz, and he didn't have something like Acrobatics or Brave Bird, which would have been really cool, and that might have been able to KO the Mega Venusaur from the range it was at. So that would have been cool to see. Then Groudon comes in from the aerial aces, and this is the massive income as Weavile breaks it, but it doesn't kill. And Groudon kills the Weavile. Then Granbull comes in for the Intimidate, but Granbull and Blissey both dies to Aqua Jet, and against double-8 he then dies to Live Up Recoil. He went for Aqua Jet on double-8, kind of expecting him to go for Shadow Sneak, but double-8 just set up a Swords Dance. In hindsight, he said also, and this was just his best play, he should have went for Knockoff, because he would have prevented the setup in every case as possible. Because yeah, even if he dies to a Shadow Sneak, what does it matter? You just go out into Thunderous and try to 2-hit KO. But yeah, now double-8 was able to set up an SD, and he killed Thunderous Eye with a Shadow Sneak. But yeah, in the end, he might have misplayed with not going for knockoff against the double-8. But yeah, Thunderous Eye shouldn't be alive at all, because it should have died to the Granbull, and that would have been a bit less closer game as it now was. But that's all I have on the aerial aces. So we go to number 12, and at number 12 we have the Dark Void Dunsparce, and this is also a 1 of 5 team. A lot of teams 1 of 5. He lost his last 2 matches. He lost 5-0 to the Helsinki Heliolisk, and he lost 5-0 to the Miami Heatmore. He also made 2 transactions, you can see here. I won't go over all the some team changes in these weeks. I just didn't have the time to go over them really in depth. If I look at Mesprit and Hoopa, what it does for him, Hoopa is a really hard hitter. It is a bit weak to pursuit traps, so he has to look out for pursuit users with Hoopa, because yeah, it has that 4 times weakness to Ghost and Dark. Mesprit is a nice utility mon. I really love Mesprit. Most of the time it does really great in the format, so I love the Mesprit pickup. And then about his matches and his plays, he played the Miami Heatmores. Yeah, it was just he had the plan with Smurgle to set up stealth, to set up sticky webs, but the Heatmores led off with the Everlook, and Everlook 1v1'd the Smurgle. He toxic the Smurgle, he then went for Avalanche, and then he went for Rapid Spin. As Smurgle Destiny bonded, Smurgle died to the Toxic, and Smurgle was down, no damage was done. So this was really to the Miami Heatmore's advantage. Then Mega Altaria comes in, takes a Fire Blast from the Volcanion, and I don't know if the Miami Heatmores thought it was a Choice Specs or a Choice Scarf Volcanion at that point, or that he may thought Volcanion would switch out failing the EQ, but he just goes for Dragon Dance as he just dies to a Sludge Wave. So that's really one of the biggest threats for the Dunsparce out of the way, so that's really nice for him. But then something really cool happened, and also a bit questionable, because Mew comes in, it sets up a Rock Polish, and then it sets up a Nasty Plot, and then it Baton passes out into Nidoking, and Nidoking with the coverage of Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Sludge Wave, yeah, he cleaned up the game pretty much. He made one slight error, the Miami Heat most because he didn't evade his Nidoking properly, so he didn't outspeed the Scarf Heliolisk from the Dunce Pass, but Surf just wasn't a wanted KO, so he still was able to clinch the 5-0 victory. And I say this is a bit of a questionable win because we are going with GPA rules, and because the Heatmores are a new coach, he might have forgot this, but in the GPA rules, we are going with GPA rules, so everything is fine. You can pass multiple stats, but if you went with Smogon rules, then passing of multiple stats isn't allowed. But I think this league goes by as much GPA rules as possible, so this was just allowed. Don't mind me. So yeah, that was a bit of an unfortunate loss. He started out, the Smurgle was unfortunate, but he definitely had the tools to come back even after Megaltyre died, but then that crazy and really nice move set into the Nidoking was just too much for his team. And his other match was against the Helsinki Heliolisks. Here there was some unfortunate hacks for the Heliolisk at the beginning because Spiritomb kind of wants to trap the Mesprit. The Mesprit just T-waves it, then sets up rocks, and Spiritomb is paralyzed, then is even able to U-turn out. But Spiritomb is able to Toxic the Superior, which is really nice because it sets up a substitute on the Sucker Punch from Spiritomb. So it's really nice that it's Toxic, so it's on a timer. Then the Dunsparce make a bit of a questionable play because Superior is really a big threat to the Heliolisk team, but he switches it out while it just was behind the sub. So it was kind of, he had a free Leaf Storm, but he didn't went for it. This was a bit weird for me. So he went out into Heliolisk, dodged the first Sucker Punch, but then he has to take the next Sucker Punch. So Heliolisk kind of took big damage for nothing. He could have just stayed in behind the sub with Superior and just killed the Spiritomb with a Leaf Storm. Then Slurpuff comes in, which is really nice. But yeah, Slurpuff comes in as also Mega Beedrill comes in. Slurpuff comes in and he doubles out into Mega Beedrill, and I don't know kind of what he was expecting because like the most likely switch for Slurpuff are Crobat and Lucario, and Beedrill also doesn't do much to it, but Spiritomb just decided to stay in and go for as much damage as possible with Foul Play, and it straight KOs the Beedrill on the switch. So I don't know what he kind of was predicting with this Mega Beedrill switch, but yeah, it costed him big time. And then after a bit of more whittling down of the Dunsparce team, Crobat is able to kind of clean up with Cross Poison, as Slurpuff also decided to belly jump up on the wrong turn, as it took massive damage from a Cross Poison from the Crobat, and he then he didn't have enough health to belly jump up. Should have done this a bit earlier if he would have if he wanted to try this. So yeah, this was also a bit of an unfortunate loss for him. He made a bit of a questionable play with the Mega Beedrill switch and the Superior switching out while it was behind sub. That's why I put it at number 12 for now. And then at number 11 we have our first new coach. And our first new coach is the Philadelphia Smurgles. They are still 1-5 with a -10 differential, but he only has played 2 games, and first game he won in a 3-0 fashion from the Chicago Grambles, and the other one he lost 2-0 from the Miami Heatmore. So that's why I put him at number 11. He also made some small changes to his team. He picked up Everlock instead of Glacian. Everlock is a spinner for his team, which is really nice. He kind of lacked edge removal as he dropped down. He dropped his Hitmonchan for Yanmega, which is a really hard hitter, but it's really hindered by something like rocks. I like Yanmega on his team, gives his team a bit more special offense, and yeah, in the end he also picked up Archeops. Archeops is a great lead, it's a great stealth rock lead, and I think Archeops even gets defog if he wants to try to run that. So yeah, some really nice low tier transactions for this team, I have to say. And then over to his matches. At the beginning, the Grambles, yeah, the Novahawk has an Entei, and Entei is a big threat to the Smurgles team, so he switches in his Emboar to the Entei. Yeah, so and Entei isn't able to two-shot the Ember because it's quite bulky, so he could fire it, resist it. So, but he decided to stay in with Entei, and that meant Ember was able to to do massive damage to it with a superpower, which meant after Entei killed Ember, it was easily revenged by McBurnectric. So I don't know if this was his best play for the Grand Bulls, because now he lost like one of his biggest offensive mons really early on. Also, he could have just switched in his Tentacruel on Ember, because yeah, Ember was not most likely to go for like the Wild Charge, predicting that. So yeah, I thought that was maybe more of his best play. And then there are some weird things from the Grand Bulls, because Azalf comes in, it sets a substitute as Klefki comes in. Klefki just goes for spikes, he doesn't care about breaking the sub apparently. So with this setting of the spikes, he dodges the first Fire Blast, then he play roughs on the second. As Fire Blast connects, he lives, and then he decided to spike up again as Azalf again set up a substitute. So I think his best play was just going for play roughs to keep trying to break his substitute, because yes, a sub Azalf was a bit scary, because it meant it would have get at least one extra kill, but yeah, he doesn't apparently care that much, so he lets it set up a substitute, and that meant then he tries to go for play rough, but Azalf is faster because play rough doesn't get prankster, and he dies to a Fire Blast. Then he sends in his Tentacruel for some reason. Tentacruel just dies to a Psyshock. Then he finally goes out into Raikou, is faster, goes for Volt Switch. Yeah, after taking a hit, he's not faster. He goes Raikou. Raikou can take a hit. So I thought, why don't you go into Raikou first then? And after he took a hit, he went out into Mamoswine. He keeps going for knockoffs against the Garchomp, and he was apparently Choice Bandit because Garchomp still outsped, and Garchomp was able to kill the Mamoswine off, and then Scarf Salamence was able to revenge the Garchomp with Earthquake, but the Smurgles that left were Azalf, Azumarill, and I think McBurnectric, and yeah, he locked himself into Earthquake, which means Azalf just wins the game because it has left hit ability. He also couldn't lock himself into Dragon type move because Azumarill was there, so that resulted in a trio victory for the Smurgles, which was a really nice victory of him. His opponent, the Grand Bulls, made a bit of questionable plays, so yeah, I don't really know what was in his head. And then the other match the Smurgles did play was against the Miami Heatmore, and here he played in the beginning when Altair let off against his Azalf. He went for a smart taunt, kinda if he wanted to be cheeky and set up turn 1, and also he was able to scout out the set, as he now, as Altair revealed Hyper Voice, so we know, okay, especially he goes out into what I thought was an assault fast. The Azumarill was able to easily take the hits from Mega Altaria. Yeah, then the Smurgles make a bit of a safe play by Aqua Jetting on Greninja, which was really low, but yeah, Mew just came in now, and if he just went for play rough, he would have been able to 2-hit KO almost the Mew, so I think that was his best play, or forcing it to roost, but he went for a safe Aqua Jet while it was kind of obvious he still wanted to keep his Greninja in the back, and also Greninja couldn't do that much to Azumarill. Yeah, then Mew reveals Bulk Up, and but he is luckily scared out by Porygon 2, because if Mew would have been able to bulk up too much, it might have been the game there. Then Nidoking comes in, and Nidoking from the this is from the Heatmores. He takes massive damage just to set up T-Spikes, but I thought he kind of thought that T-Spikes was really important for him. He again goes for a safe Aqua Jet. Then he protects his Ferrothorn to scout out what Inflame goes for. Inflame goes for HP Ice, predicting like Guard Jump, so I think, okay, I can stay in now. He has Chople Berry, He is able to take the hit from Inflame, but he doesn't have a move to really hit Inflame, and he just sets up spikes, which is a bit unfortunate. I really like if you have a barrier and you should push your opponent, you should be able to KO it back, because then it's really a surprise, because yeah, his mon died and he didn't expect it. So then Azumarill comes in, and not the Garchomp, and yeah, this Azumarill, it dies to a crit close combat after the poison damage. Then Garchomp comes in, and it expects the Mega Altaria, so he goes for Poison Jab. As Staraptor came in, yeah, and Staraptor still was able to take the Poison Jab quite well. I don't know why you run Poison Jab. Poison Jab does a bit more than Earthquake on Mega Altaria, but it doesn't do that much more. But he gets the poison on Raptor, which is kinda nice for him. Then he sacks Ferrothorn as the Raptor nicely clicks the close combat. This was a nice play. He expected the Ferrothorn to come in. Doesn't want to take that much recoil, so close combat was able to one-shot it from that range. Then kinda Spadef Mew with Bulk Up comes in. Looks to be able to kinda take the game home, but Porygon 2 says no. Porygon 2 from the Smurgles is able to crit twice in a row with Tri-Attack, and Mew was parried earlier on, and it gets paralyzed as it probably tried to heal up, and so it dies. Now Nidoking is just able to pick off the Porygon 2 then, and the Mega Altaria is able to take an HPI from Mega Electric and is able to kill it, and it's also able to take the Poison Jab from Garchomp, as they both die, but Garchomp gets the Poison Jab poison, so Mega Altaria takes out the Garchomp, but it also dies to poison damage, and that results in a 2-0 victory for the Heatmores. So this is really a close game. There were some nice plays by both sides. The Mew set was it was a really nice Mew set from the Heatmores, and yeah, the Mew set just should have taken it home, but the Hack said no, but he was still able to come out on top. So the Smurfs were a bit outclassed in this match, and that's why I put them at number 11. And then at number 10 we have the Lovepower Lapras. The Lovepower Lapras have now a 3-3 record, and in the last 2 weeks they won 4-0 against the Pangoros, as I already mentioned that match, and he lost a really close game 1-0 against the Bayern Munchlax. So I will be going over the matches, as I kind of do always. So yeah, against the Pangoros, that was the match. He played his Dugtrio really nice and was able to come out on top, mainly due to playing the Dugtrio that well, I have to say. And against the Bayern Munchlax, that was a really close game, and it was a bit of a weird game, because like turn 1, Mega Scizor versus Tornadus Eye, so you expect Tornadus has Heat Wave as a move it could go for, so you can expect Mega Scizor to switch out. Mega Lugia also predicts this, so he thought, okay, Chandelure probably comes in on this kind of expected Heat Wave, so he goes for Dark Pulse, as Mega Scizor just stays in, goes for Swords Dance, and then he goes for safe Bullet Punch as Vaporeon comes in. Then he clicks Bug Bite, he kills the Vaporeon. Then Tornadus comes in, and I don't really know if Mega Lugia misclicked on the Tornadus, if Mega Lugia had Tailwind or not, but he died, his Tornadus just died to a Bullet Punch without doing anything. So I don't know, maybe he didn't have T-Wave, maybe he misclicked on Tornadus. It's a bit weird. Then Jirachi is able to come in. Jirachi kind of revenge the Mega Scizor with a crit Fire Punch. Don't really think the crit mattered that much. And then later on, the Lovepower Lapras made a questionable play by sacking his Chandelure to the Mega Lopunny, as he kind of had an answer to Mega Lopunny. But for some reason he decided to let his Chandelure go to it. Then Q1 Black is able to Iron Head the Sylveon, but it still lives and kills it with a Hyper Voice. I thought maybe if he knew how much damage he could do to like a defensive Sylveon, why not try to whittle it a bit more, well, to the range it's at Iron Head KO range, because now Sylveon was able to even heal up later on. This was mainly due to Blastoise. I don't know what the reason was, but Blastoise had Blizzard. Sylveon was at 40%, and after the match, Daniel, coach of the Lapras, said that this was at range to KO, but I don't know how much this Blizzard miss really mattered. If it was able to KO the Sylveon at 40%, then yeah, it was really huge, because Sylveon really played a big role at the end game. Yeah, now it was kind of a bit of a stalling match. Sylveon was able to Wish Pass into Jirachi, healing that thing up. Venusaur then dies to Mega Lopunny. Is just, and then it's like the beginning of the end when the Venusaur dies, because Jolteon comes in, and Daniel makes a great play of predicting Jirachi to come in, and he just clicks Shadow Ball. He kills the Jirachi. Then Flygon comes in. Flygon dies to a Shadow Ball. Probably he brought in Flygon because it was a Scarf Flygon, but the Lapras brought what I think was a Scarf Jolteon. So Flygon also dies to the Shadow Ball, or Flygon was not Scarf, but I think the first one was the case. And then later on, Blastoise has to be sacked to the Mega Lopunny, just that big of a threat. Then Jolteon comes in again, it clicks Thunderbolt, it kills the Mega Lopunny, but unfortunately it couldn't kill the Sylveon even with 2 Thunderbolts, so it was a Scarf Jolteon, as I mentioned, and it dies to Hyper Voices. So if that Blizzard would have KO'd the Sylveon, then this would have been a different outcome probably, but now it was a really close game, and the Biomunchlax was just able to clean it out with a 1-0 victory. And the Scarf Jolteon was a really nice bring on his part, because it really caught his opponent off guard. Also the turn 1, that Sword Dancing, he kind of goofed out, and he kind of forgot Tornadus gets Heat Wave, so that's why he made that play. Yeah, I would say now the risk paid out for you, but don't do such things in the future. So on to our number 9. At number 9 we have our other newcomer coach of the Miami Heat. This is Zappy Zapdos. He is currently 3-2 and with a +3 differential. The only game that was played by the previous coach from the previous Miami Infinapes was week 1 match. The week 2 match against Amber still has to be scheduled. He played week 3, he lost 2-0 to the Archon. Week 4 he won 2-0 to the Heliolisk. Week 5 he won 5-0 to the Dunsparce, and week 6 he won 2-0 to the Smurgles. Over the last 2 matches I have already gone over. He took and the other matches I will be going over now. So against the I will shortly just mention some things. Against the Dunsparce, he really had a really cool move set that really put in the work due to the Baton Pass into Nidoking. I don't agree with the Mega Altaria play. I don't really know why he did it. I mentioned some of the reasons that it could be, but he should have played a bit more safe with it. It was also the Everlock put in work by 1v1 the Smurgles. That was really nice. And against the Smurgles he also he played a nice game against the Smurgles, and he also brought a really cool Mew set. I really like to see a Mew not only in a defensive role. And his other 2 matches, one of them was against against the Aluminia Archon. He brought a Cotton Guard Dragon Dance Mega Altaria, definitely interesting, but this was faced against a Snorlax. The Snorlax had Heavy Slam, which didn't do that much damage to Cotton Guard, but Snorlax also had Toxic, and this Toxic put Mega Altaria on a timer, but the Snorlax also had Curse, so it could curse up as Mega Altaria Dragon Danced. Snorlax took some damage, but it was able to kill off the Mega Altaria, a big threat out of the way for the Archon. It's then revenged by the Greninja. Then Nidoking is kind of used as a switch for Roserade. I don't really know why, because it couldn't take 2 energy balls, so it just died straight up. Then Infinite comes in. He makes the nice play of Nasty plotting up. As Jellicent comes in, he kills it straight off the bat with a Grass Knot, really nice. Then Trulicon can come in. It can take a Fire Blast because it resists it, and it does big damage to with Dragon Claw, but he dies to the next one. Then Ape's Infinite then switches out on the Roserade, probably because this Roserade is a Scarfed Roserade. So he goes out into Mew, which can take 2 Sludge Bombs. Mew goes then for Psyshock as Extra comes in, and it's again like an offensive lure Mew, so it goes for the Surf and clean KOs Extra, which was a really nice bring from the Heatmores. But then it's again something. You think the match is like a bit even, maybe the Heatmores have the edge, but then Nicholas comes in, it takes a Shadow Ball from the Mew, even the Mew gets a Spadaflop, it sets up Trick Room, it kills Mew with a Signal Beam, Staraptor comes in, it's clean KO'd with a Psychic, this is probably a live up offensive Nicholas with Trick Room, Inflame comes in, Vacuum Wave does a bit of damage, but Nicholas kills it off with a Psyshock. Greninja comes in, it has Water Shuriken, which is a really cool move, and I really like Water Shuriken, I have to say, especially because his opponent had like Extra Drill, which could have been Sand Drill, that's such things. But he would have needed 5 hits to KO, he only got 3 and he dies to a Signal Beam. So that's the game. It was a really nice, well played game on both ends. I liked some really cool stats the Heatmores brought, but the Archon just knew what the game plan was, and he knew where English could clean up at the end, which it did. So yeah, that's why the match from the Heatmores. I'm really impressed by this new coach, I have to say. He brings some really cool sets, and yeah, he also made some transactions, as you can see. Won't be going over them in too much detail. I think with Virizion and Slowbro he added a bit more bulk to his team. Armaldo, he added a Rapid Spinner, and Armaldo is also a bit bulky. I really like Armaldo. Don't like it as Rapid Spinner, but I like it as the Mon itself. Then we go over to at number 8. At number 8 we have the New England Ambush, and I can only say how the mighty have fallen. Yeah, he hasn't played his week 2 and week 6 match as of I'm recording this, as far as I know. And in his week 5 match he lost again. He lost 5-0 to the Archon, which was quite a big loss, which put him now at a 2-2 -3 record. So yeah, this match against the Archon, in the beginning Gothitelle is invis the Mega Aerodactyl, he traps the Mega Aerodactyl, he takes a crit Stone Edge, it wouldn't really matter, it was a 2-hit KO regardless, and he is able to T-Wave the Mega Arrow, gets off a T-Bolt, so he weakens it, but Gothitelle just dies. Then Lando I went for Superpower, because that would still hit. Extra Drill would 2-hit KO Mega Aerodactyl from the range it was at, so that was his best play, and not going for Earth Power, so really nice. But then the match is kind of quickly decided, because Keldeo decides to set up some Calm Minds against the Suicune. Suicune didn't get any Scald Punch, which would have put Keldeo on a timer, and Keldeo was able to set up at +2, kills off the Suicune, takes a crit Superpower from the Lander's Eye, kills the Lander's Eye, and then he's also able to take a Freeze Dry Steel from Cryogonal, kills that thing off, takes a Poison Jab from Mega Sableye, that is probably the strongest move Mega Sableye had, kills it, and he just goes the Rhydon. So yeah, this was really a quick match, and I think the Ambush just didn't prepare enough for a Calm Mind Keldeo, and that's really unfortunate, because yeah, you don't like to be swept like this. And yeah, he just should have brought, I think, a team that wasn't that easy to set up on for a Calm Mind Keldeo. Maybe something like I see here on his roster, like Amoonguss. Amoonguss could have maybe done some things to it, which would have been nice, or Magnezone if it was able to outspeed it. But yeah, unfortunate things happen. That's why he fell down all the way to place 8. But he only has played 4 matches, so he can definitely climb up back to like the top 3 he was a couple of weeks ago. So on to our number 7 then. At number 7 we have the Chicago Grand Bulls. Chicago Grand Bulls now are 3-3, and he lost his week 5 match 3-0 to the Philadelphia Smurgles, and his week 6 match Yeah, it said on the sheet it was a 3-6 loss to the Archon. I don't have a replay of it. I don't know if this was a forfeit or what happened. Really happened this match. I kind of forgot to ask our commissioner Mike. But yeah, Novak is now 3-3, -1 differential. As of late, he hasn't been playing to his fullest extent, I think, but yeah, he has beaten like the Heliolisk and the Ambush, so he has shown off that he is able to perform well. But yeah, he lost to the Smurgles, and if I remember correctly, that match, yeah, he kind of sacked off his ante really early on. I don't think that was his best play, and then he made some questionable plays with the clef key around the Azelf, letting Azelf really run through his team, and he just wasn't able to come back from this. So definitely some things to note. Keep Ante healthy, better I think. Just don't let it take massive damage for no particular reason. And also, if something has substitute, just don't let it sit behind a sub, but just make sure you break it before so an other mon can come in and scare it out or revenge it. So that's really quickly number 7, because the other match I don't have replay from. And then on to our number 6. At number 6 we have Montgomery Tel Aviv, coached by Alpha George. They are now 3-2 with a +3 differential. They still have to play against Ambush, but they played their week 5 match. They lost in a really close game, 1-0. They lost to the Helsinki Heliolisks, and that match yeah, was a really nice match, I have to say. Like for example, Mike, the coach of the Heliolisk, makes a great play really in the beginning. Shaman is in on the Victini. On his Victini, he thinks, okay, there's no way the Shaman stays in. He clicks Bolt Strike as Mega Charge comes in. It was not Mega Evolved, so it was regular Charge, and it straight up dies to a Bolt Strike. So this was really nice for the Heliolisk right at the beginning. Then Montgomery Tel Aviv reveals to have substitute Shaman, which looks to be really scary, but Empoleon luckily has Roar, so it's able to roar it out, so it isn't that much of a problem for him. Then Sark comes in from the Tel Aviv, and he expects the Fable to come in like an obvious play. He goes for Poison Jab as Empoleon stays in, and he just scalds, and then he can finish off the Sark with a flash cannon, as it's probably a choiced Sark, and yeah, for some reason Tel Aviv didn't want to switch in anything. Then a Broken Z can come in, and he reveals to have agility, so he sets up an agility on Rotom Wash, and he is able to kill off the Rotom Wash, and this agility Broken Z really put in work. But unfortunately for him, he had at this point in time he hasn't gotten any prior damage on Clefable, so from full Clefable is able to take a tri-attack and kill off the Porygon-Z, which was weakened by the Rotom Wash with a Moonblast. So if Agility Porygon-Z was his win con, he maybe should have kept it in the back a bit more, try to bait in Clef with an Ottermon, get that bit of prior damage you needed on Clefable, and then sweep from there. So Mega Sableye then later on is able to come in on Shaman. He goes for an HP Ice, which would have hit the Shaman, but also the Togekiss, which came in. He now kills the Togekiss with 2 HP Ices. I don't really know why Bronzong didn't come in, because Bronzong really hardballed the Mega Sableye, but then again, what now happened was Victini could come in on the Bronzong, and that's probably why he didn't went out into Bronzong. He didn't want Victini to give Victini that V-switch. Victini now could come in onto Bronzong, kills off the Bronzong. He is revenged by the Shaman, but the Heliolisk have their Hitmonlee in the back, and they have the Fake Out Unburden set, and that's able to kill off the Shaman that was already on low health. So this was a really close 1-0. I think the Tel Aviv, I think the Heliolisk played a really great game. And yeah, the Montgomery Tel Aviv just made some over predictions that hurt him, I think. Losing his Mega Charge at the beginning to a nice prediction from the Heliolisk really cost him. Kind of sacking off his Sark cost him. And yeah, the Porygon-Z could have potentially won him the game if he just had some prior damage on Clefable. So overall, I think this was a great match, and I hope to see great things from Montgomery Tel Aviv and Alpha George in the future. And then on number 5 we have his opponent. That's the Helsinki Heliolisk. He has climbed up some places now because the last 2 weeks, week 5 he won this 1-0 match against the Maccabi Tel Aviv, and he also won a 5-0 against the Dark Void Dunspers. So the last 2 weeks he is really proving himself to be a great contender in this league, and that he really needs to be feared. That's why he is now made the top 5. As mentioned, he made some nice plays against the Maccabi Tel Aviv. With the Mike made some crazy prediction with the Victini, expecting the Charger to come in, which really helped him out. And yeah, this was, and the rest of the match he just played a really clean game and was able to come out on top. So then okay, I will go over some of his other matches, because I just noticed I kind of forgot one match, and this was the Heliolisks did play the Dunspers. I already mentioned that game. Here yeah, he also played really a clean game, and he kind of won his a cleanup with Crobat. Nothing special, but I kind of forgot the Heliolisks versus the Heatmore, and he lost this game in a 2-0 fashion, if I believe. Yeah, and I don't really know why I forgot this game. Okay, yeah, I don't know, but I kind of forgot this game. So the Heliolisks versus the Heatmore. This was a really close game. The Heatmore have an expert belt Mew with like 4 attacks that really does some, with the coverage it gets, it really does big damage to the Heliolisks team, and this really hurt him in early on, because a lot of his team gets riddled quite early on. Clefable reveals to be a Cosmic Power set, and he is able to set up 1 Cosmic Power, but Nidoking comes in, and yeah, Nidoking kind of scares out the Clefable. One thing I didn't really know from Nidoking is it had Sludge Wave and Ice Punch, but I don't know why he didn't went fully physical then, so also Poison Jab, or why he didn't go fully special with Sludge Wave and Ice Beam. But I don't know what Sludge Wave plus Ice Punch gave him. Now, then Greninja predicts Clefable to come in. He goes for Gunk Shot. Lucario just stays in, and he goes for Poison Jab. Later on he feels he doesn't have Fighting Step. He gets the poison. So yeah, the Heatmores think, okay, let me just sack my Greninja. He goes for Gunk Shot again. Probably he's locked in, as Lucario sets up an Agility. So the Greninja dies to poison. Lucario is at +2 speed. So Infinite comes in, and Lucario just sets up a sub as Infinite goes for close combat, and Lucario just keeps subbing up until it's in Poison Jab KO range. But the Heatmores makes the good play. He knows, okay, I can just sack my Sceptile, it's not doing that much in this match, and I kind of want to keep my Infinite. So he sacks off his Sceptile, and with this way he could come in with, I think, Infinite again. Lucario is really low and able to finish off the Lucario, which was a cool set on the Heliolisk part. For Mike, he had, I think, Crunch plus Poison Jab and then Substitute and Agility. So it is really niche. It probably would only work in certain scenarios, but it's a nice bring. Then Infinite reveals to have Gunk Shot on the Clefable, who goes for soft Cosmic Power. It is able to softball up, but as he softballs up, Infinite reveals Swords Dance. So Clefable is scared out, and Rotom Wash has to be sacked. Hitmonlee can come in. It's again a Fake Out and Burden set, and it's able to kill off the sacked Mew. But Megaltario can come in, and it's still at full, so Poison Jab doesn't kill. And now it's Clefable as last mon, and Clefable Cosmic powers up as Infinite comes in, and it kills Infinite with a Moonblast then, fearing that, yeah, Infinite had Swords Dance, so he couldn't set up more Cosmic powers, and that meant with only 1 Cosmic power up and the range it was at, Nidoking could come in and kill off the Clefable with a Sludge Wave. This was a really close game. It was a really nice game. I think on both ends they played quite well. They didn't really make many misplays, I have to say. the Lucario set definitely was really interesting, and I think the beginning of the match really dictated the outcome, because Expert Mew just was able to do kind of big damage to, I think, 2 or 3 months from the Heliolisk's team, and this really hurt him early on. So, on to our number 4. At number 4 we have the Alamania Archer, and they have climbed up quite a lot, but yeah, now they are 5-1 with a plus 18 differential, and they have beaten in the last 2 weeks. They have won 6-3 from the Grambles in that I think it was like a forfeit win, and they won a big 5-0 against the Ambush with their Calm Mind Keldeo sweep, which was great prep on his part. And also he was able to win against the Miami Heatmore game, which was a week 3 game, but the Heatmores were new. So he won that with a 2-0 fashion. He also beat Smuggles 3-0. That's, I think, still a forfeit win he won. But yeah, he had some crazy. He had 3 really nice games, and yeah, he won against the Ambush and against the Miami Heatmore. So I think he really proved himself this last few weeks, and he is now 5-1, which is a really nice record. Plus 80 difference, nothing to sneeze about. And yeah, he's a real threat. And yeah, as I mentioned, Calm Mind Keldeo against the Ambush destroyed that team, and versus the Heatmore, it looked like the Heatmore were in charge at a certain point, but he just had a great offensive rain, Trick Room live up offensive rain Nicholas set that came in clutch and won him the game. So he really played his win cons right in both games, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to how he will perform in the last part of the season. More or less the second part. And then at number 3 we have our Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are also 5-1 with a plus 16 differential, and the last 2 weeks this team is coached by Will, aka Makadi. If you don't know him, go check him out. I will leave a link down in the comment section or in the description. In week 5 and 6 he won 5-0 against the Beedrills and 4-0 against the Nido Kings. One of them was being his great Sorok sweep, and the other one that was that he had to play against the Nido Kings. He had to play around some the Ampharos and the kind of weird Miss Major set, but his team was well structured and he was able to come out on top. So he took 2 big wins, putting him at the plus 16 differential for 5-1, and he only lost to the Ambush, so that's why I put him at number 3. And he made 1 transaction. He dropped his regular Rotom for Dusknoir. He mainly did this because you can't have 2 Rotoms in the same battle, so he kind of was forced to put his Rotom up for trade. Nobody really wanted it, so he picked up Dusknoir. Dusknoir can be niche for like 1 or 2 matches. We will have to see if he tries it out or not. And then our top 2, previously the Ambush were in here for long, but our number 2 now are the Bayern Munchlax. Bayern Munchlax are also sitting at the 5-1 record, plus 14 differential. The past 2 weeks he beat the Nido Kings in a 5-0 fashion, and the Lapras he beat them in a really close game. It was a 1-0. Yeah, against the Lapras, I think he really played a nice game. It might have come down to the Blizzard miss or not, but yeah, Sylveon played a huge part in his game. Also, he had to sack some mons to the Mega Scissor early on, which was unfortunate. It was more an oversight of his opponent that led this to happen than that he could have expected it, because yeah, no real human being would stay in with a Mega Scissor on a Tornadus Eye turn 1. And at the end he just knew what he needed to do to win. Mega Lopunny plus Sylveon was just too threatening for his opponent's team. He kind of was caught off guard with Scarf Jolteon taking out his Sligon, but he was still able to come out on top in that game. And the other game, that was a much shorter game, and that game the Cresselia kinda took care of forced Heatran to take a lot of damage, and that meant Sylveon tore holes in his opponent's team. Sylveon then took out Tangrowth, which meant there was more room for Mega Lopunny. So yeah, all in all, and even Flygon, as Flygon cleaned up that game. So I really played it well with like Cresselia taking out Heatran, being Heatran out of the way, Sylveon can tear holes, and then something was able to clean up, which was Flygon. So that was a really well played game by the Bayern Munchlax, coached by Megalugia. And then our number one, he has now been number one for some weeks. Don't know if anyone is able to dethrone him, but that is my good friend Victor, and coach of the Houndoom Hercules. He's 6-0 with a plus 24 differential. It's really crazy. These last 2 weeks he beat the Pangoros in a 4-0 fashion and the Aerial Ace in a 4-0 fashion. The Pangoros, he just beat this team with his sheer bulk on his team. It's really nice to see this team being able to go more ways. He can maybe go most of the time he will go balanced, but this time he went like stall to semi-stall, and he also has showed some offense potential with his team. And against the Aerial Aces, this game was a bit closer than it had to be because his Granbull missed some of his moves. But overall, and Groudon was really scary for his team, but he still was able to handle it, and Doublade put in a lot of work, which was able to win him the game. So that's all for these 2 weeks. I hope I will be here next week with week 7 power rankings. I have to see how my time is, but I hope I will manage. And yeah, until then guys, so bye.